Now, the biggest problem that we had with paparazzi agents, the whole shebang of the entertainment industry, was they couldn't create something like me. They didn't know how to handle it. Nobody did. Okay? And part of it was because I was back in the 80s, and that's like decades prior to where the technology reached the point where it needed to be. Decades before public relations in foreign countries reached the point where they needed to be. Today, you have teenage superstars like Brit, like Rihanna, like Becky G, Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, and right now they are skyrocketing because people are allowed to see them, to understand them. And we finally have technology like the internet in where you can finally understand who these people are. And you can understand it in a broader range. You can find out about a teenage AV idol from Japan. You can find out about a race queen from Japan, which is amazing. That's where we kind of need to be to deal with something like I am. Okay? That's been very, very difficult. You know, I sit there and I say, I'm Christopher Stewart, and everybody goes, who the heck are you? You are always using stage names. I was always using stage names in the credits. I was using my main name in all of the talks and the publicity and the talk shows, the television shows, the radio shows, the newspapers, the magazines that I was printed in. They were all covering me by my name of Christopher Stewart. They were not worried about what I was doing in film. And the fans were following that. Okay? The fans were understanding that. The industry was understanding that. Directors didn't call me by a stage name. They knew me as Christopher Stewart. Everybody knew me by my name. Actors, actresses, directors, producers, whether they were in Japan, whether they were in France, whether they were in Italy, they knew who I was by my name, my actual name. And I ran that continually. And this is why, you know, when people talk about stage name problems with me, there weren't any. Okay? When people sit there and wonder, who are you? Well, I'll explain that fully in this series if I eventually get to that. But, you know, you have to understand that the entire industry for projecting someone wasn't there back then. It might now be there, probably isn't. It probably still needs work. The paparazzi still need work on how to present stars and celebrities and how to give you positive press. Positive press? Is that a word? Can people understand positive press? Okay? So this is some of the things you have to look at when you look at my career and my life. You have to realize that what we're trying to do is show things that the world is completely oblivious to, that they don't understand. Okay? And that's part of it. It's really hard when you're working in makeup and you're working in different rubber suits to make people understand this is you. I mean, people do that through the industry. They have done it in the industry by sticking to one name. I went over the top. I changed my name every script. And there was reasons for that, and I'll go into that in detail in another video. But what I want to explain to you is that we are finally to a level that maybe can actually handle that. And when a prospective agent looks at me, I want you to understand that I am famous everywhere. And we need to capitalize that. We need to expand that. We need to go beyond. And going beyond is hard. Even just bringing up the stuff from my past is difficult to locate because you have to contact people in other countries. So, you know, I'm talking about the press angle, okay? You know, how many people will sit there and show you the press release of Black Sunday, Rome, 1983. There's Barbara Steele and Christopher Stewart attending the brand new opening of Black Sunday with Mario Bava. I mean, I mean, you'd have to go to Italy and translate the papers and show them in order to get the full understanding, the scope of what we were doing back then. And this series is starting to try and get you to understand just how things were happening in the world and how big things were. And we also want to get that again. We want to be bigger. The world needs to be bigger. So, I mean, that's part of it. You need to think about how to create something beyond. How do you make people really understand a musical artist in the United States when they're in Mexico, when they're in Italy, when they're in the Philippines? Cable, the internet, movies are going far overseas. And your fame does too. And whether you're working only in one country or if you're working in 7, your fame is all around the world. Because your fame is all around the world, the press needs to keep up with you.